Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to look at how to stay open according to the spiritual teacher Michael Singer. Singer describes living in a state of openness as living without closing your heart to life. It sounds simple, and at the core it is. But the simplicity can be deceptive because what the mind has practiced for a lifetime is doing the opposite. It closes, it resists, and it contracts against whatever it doesn't like. A thought comes up, a feeling rises, an event unfolds, and something inside says, "No, I don't want this." That no is the closing. It is subtle, almost invisible at first, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. The work is to notice the closing in real time and choose in that moment not to go along with it. When you resist an experience, whether it is an emotion, a memory, a sound, or a person, you create tension inside. That tension is a form of contraction, and contraction is the opposite of flow. The heart, the center of your energy, tightens. You can notice this very clearly in how you tense up inside due to an experience that is judged as unwanted, whether it's an unexpected bill, an angry spouse, a dent in the car, or something else. What is happening is that you are unconsciously trying to protect yourself, keeping yourself safe from pain or discomfort. What you are really doing is building a wall that keeps life out and stops the natural movement of energy through you. That energy doesn't go away just because you ignore it or try to push it down. It stays there, dormant but not gone, waiting for the next moment that triggers it. Over the years, this builds up, and you carry layers of undigested energy, layers of old resistance that not only keep you in the same reactive patterns, but can also start causing physical symptoms such as stiffness and aches. Singer reminds us that there is another way to live. You can stay open. When something rises, instead of closing around it, you relax. You let the energy come up and move through you without resisting or holding on to it. And you keep your heart open. Staying open doesn't mean you like what's happening, or that you pretend to be okay when you're not. Nor does it mean you ignore your instincts when they tell you to back away from a situation. It simply means you don't resist the energy of the moment. You allow what is here to be here. And you realize that whether you allow the experience or not, until the experience is no longer present, it's there either way. This is not about analyzing or fixing what you feel. The mind will want to do that, because this is how the mind has been trained to believe change happens. And because the mind believes that thinking harder will give you control. But staying open is not an intellectual exercise. It is a practice of awareness and surrender. Awareness is what notices the tightening and the urge to pull away. Surrender is the choice to relax into both the inner and outer experience instead of contracting. It's a quiet inward yes to what is already happening. Remember, it is happening whether you accept it or not. And even if it feels counterintuitive at first, if you truly don't resist what you're experiencing, you will notice a sense of relief. What you notice here is the energy moving a little more freely. This is how energy is meant to move, with lightness and ease. You begin by simply staying present and observing. The next time someone says something that irritates you, or you remember something that makes you uncomfortable, pause and feel what happens in your body. You might feel a tightening in your chest or throat, a wave of heat, or a sinking or a knot in the stomach. Normally, you would react, either by defending yourself, suppressing the feeling, or distracting yourself. Instead, try doing nothing but noticing. Let your awareness rest on the sensation without judging it or naming it. Keep breathing. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw, and keep your heart relaxed. Remember, this is not something you force or think your way through. This is something you stay present with, allow and relax into. As mentioned, at first this can feel counterintuitive. Remember, you are going against what you have unconsciously trained yourself into for your entire life, and it is what you will inevitably revert to when you are not aware of what is happening. which is another important point. Since we are usually not totally present in the moment, we are usually not fully aware of what is going on or how we respond to it. Thus, unless we become aware, our habitual reactions will be on autopilot. This is not failure, it's data. Just catching yourself reacting unconsciously is a small victory, as this also helps train you to more easily notice your programming in the future. In the more challenging moments, you may close down before you even realize it. That's okay. The practice is not about never closing. It's about noticing when you have closed and relaxing back open as soon as you can. Every time you do this, you strengthen the habit of openness. Again, when you encounter an unwanted experience, everything in you wants to shut down, struggle, or turn away. But the shift you experience when you stay with the feeling and relax is very real, though it may be subtle in the beginning. What you, for example, thought would overwhelm you begins to pass through. This is what Singer calls allowing the energy to release. Each time you let that energy pass without closing, you lighten the load you have been carrying. This is how you begin to live with an open heart. You stop storing old pain, stop building walls, and start letting life flow through you. Over time, you become less reactive. Things that used to trigger you lose their grip. You find yourself able to stay calm and open, even when life doesn't match your preferences. That openness is freedom. Sometimes, though, you will just be able to helplessly watch yourself acting out the same old patterns, even though you know better. Nor is this failure. The pull of negative emotions is powerful, and as said, the discomfort of going against old programming is often very strong. However, after some time, you will begin to recognize the discomfort as illusory. It is not protecting you against real threats, and it is not even tied to an actual experience. It's just part of the defense mechanisms of the old personality. Which brings us to another layer of this practice, recognizing that life is not personal. The mind believes that everything happening around you is about you. It isn't. Life is simply unfolding. The weather changes. People say what they say. Circumstances rise and fall. None of it is about you, even when your mind insists that it is. When you stop personalizing everything, it becomes easier to stay open. Life is happening, and you are here to experience it, not to control it. In this, you are again reminded that this personalization happens on an unconscious level. Your rational mind may protest that you are not taking things personally, since that would be unreasonable in many situations. But if you look directly at how you feel about an event, can you honestly say that the car breaking down at the most inconvenient time doesn't feel, at least a little, like a personal insult from the universe? Or can you truly stay so detached that you fully recognize the scolding you received from your boss has more to do with them than with you? Remember, what you tell yourself about a situation is often not the same as how you are actually experiencing it. In fact, the gap between your experience and how you describe it may often be miles wide. Now, Singer often talks about how the heart is naturally open. You don't need to learn how to open it, because openness is your natural state. What you need to do is stop closing it. Every moment of closing is a decision, even if it happens unconsciously and so fast that it feels automatic. You may argue whether an unconscious decision still is a decision, but framing it as such is important. Because this means that every moment of opening is also a decision. Every time you wake up to what is going on in the present moment, you can make the choice of stepping out of the unconscious reactive behavior and simply remain still, present, and open. You can practice releasing your defenses and choose openness again and again. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. Staying open doesn't mean you stop making choices or setting boundaries. It means that whatever you do without the tightness of resistance. You can walk away from a situation and still keep your heart open. You can say no with an open heart. The openness is not about what you do, but about your level of awareness and the state you are in when you do it. The more you stay open, the more energy moves through you. You begin to notice that there is a current of energy always present, a quiet vitality that rises naturally when you are not blocking it. That energy is what Singer sometimes calls the flow of life moving through you, but you are advised not to attach too much importance to labels. In the end, it can be good to keep in mind that everything is energy, and the five-sense reality that we are experiencing is only one way of decoding this energy. What you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is not the full picture. It is simply how your nervous system translates the vast field of energy that is always present. This flow is always there as one expression of this infinite field of boundless energy, waiting for you to stop interfering and start aligning. It doesn't need you to create it, amplify it, or understand it. It only needs you to step out of the way. When you let go of resistance and choose to remain open, you naturally attune to this deeper current. With practice, staying open gradually turns more and more into your natural state. You start to live more in the space of awareness, where you watch the flow of life without getting pulled into it. You remain the witness, steady and present, even as everything moves around you. That steady awareness is the key to freedom. Remember, even if your mind may protest, it is really as simple as stepping out of reactivity and unconscious habitual movement. This leads us to the issue of trust. Staying open means trusting that life knows what it is doing. Your mind may not understand why something is happening, but life doesn't need your approval to unfold. You don't have to like what is happening to stay open to it. If you've been following the previous discussion, you know that when you let go of the need to control, you find that you have access to a deeper kind of safety, one that doesn't depend on circumstances. This trust deepens over time. As you practice staying open, you begin to notice that the energy you used to spend fighting life is now available to you. You have more space inside. You are less reactive, less easily shaken. There is a quiet strength that comes from not resisting. Energy is, in reality, not scarce, but abundant. And this is another thing that you will receive more and more confirmation of the more you practice allowing life to move through you instead of closing down and resisting. Presence is at the center of all of this. Staying open keeps you here, in the present moment, instead of lost in thoughts of the past or the future. When you are present, you can meet life as it is. You can handle what is in front of you without the extra weight of your mind's stories about what it means. If you observe your mind carefully, you will begin to notice that, without exception, when your mind is filled with automatic thinking, you are not really fully present in the moment. When you are totally present with what is happening and you observe the activity of the mind directly, there is a stop in the automatic thoughts. And if you are really perceptive, you will notice that when, seconds later, your mind is flooded with thoughts again, it is preceded by a loss of awareness. Openness also brings clarity. When the heart is open and the mind is quiet, you see more clearly. You notice what is actually happening instead of being lost in projections or expectations. You no longer allow fear or desire to cloud your perception and judgment. And from this place of clarity, it becomes much easier to respond to life with intelligence and balance. You will find that your relationships change when you live this way. When you stay open, you don't bring as much old pain or reactivity into your interactions. You listen more, you judge less, and you are less defensive. Because judgment, defensiveness, and just waiting for our turn to speak while not really listening are also parts of our reactive, conditioned personalities. People feel this openness beyond what they can perceive with the five senses, and this too changes the dynamic. It creates space for deeper connection because you are no longer closing off parts of yourself. The beauty of this path is that it is always available. You don't need special circumstances or perfect conditions to stay open. You can practice in the middle of an argument, while waiting in line, or during a quiet walk. Every moment is an opportunity to notice where you are tightening and to relax back open. Singer emphasizes that this is a practice, not a one-time choice. You are training yourself to let go, to stay open again and again. Some days it will feel easy, other days it will feel impossible. That's part of the process. What matters is that you keep choosing openness whenever you can, no matter how many times you forget or succumb to the pull of the old programming. The payoff is freedom. Not the kind of freedom that depends on external circumstances, but an inner freedom that nothing can touch. When you stop resisting life, you discover that you are okay no matter what. You can experience pain without suffering, joy without clinging, and change without fear. Over time, the heart becomes less fragile. It doesn't need protection because it doesn't close. You realize that what you truly are cannot be hurt by the passing experiences of life. That realization deepens your ability to stay open, to let everything come and go without grasping or pushing away. You may temporarily experience hurt in your physical experience, but what is truly real in you is eternal and can never be broken. In summary, staying open, as Michael Singer teaches, is about noticing the subtle ways you close your heart and choosing in each moment to relax instead. Closing happens when you resist what is unfolding, which creates tension and blocks the natural movement of energy through you. Openness allows that energy to flow freely, releasing old patterns and pain that have built up over time. It isn't about fixing or analyzing. It's about awareness, presence, and surrender. As you practice relaxing into your experiences, even when they are uncomfortable, you stop reacting automatically. Over time, you live more in awareness, with a steady sense of clarity and balance. Trust deepens, relationships soften, and your energy becomes lighter and more available. This openness brings freedom, not freedom from life, but freedom in life, where you can meet each moment without fear or resistance, knowing that what you truly are is untouched by passing experiences. What becomes clear in all of this is that openness frees you from the unconscious patterns of cause and effect that keep you stuck when you live from resistance and reactivity. This freedom is what Singer is pointing to when he speaks of living untethered. You stop tying your sense of peace to conditions you can't control. You stop measuring your worth or safety by how well life matches your expectations. Instead, you live in openness, letting life move through you as it naturally does, moment by moment. But remember that resistance is subtle. Like so many things in our day-to-day experiences, it happens unconsciously until we shed the light of awareness on it. In the space of openness, you begin to notice a quiet, steady joy. It is not the fleeting high of getting what you want, nor the restless search for the next thing to fix or achieve. It is the deeper joy of being fully alive, unguarded, unprotected, and present. When you stop guarding your heart, life can actually reach you. Even difficult experiences become part of the unfolding, no longer something you need to fight or escape. Remember that you have a choice about this, and that this choice does not need to be your knee-jerk reaction. Yes, remember again and again that openness is a choice. Every moment offers the opportunity to close down or to remain open. The more you choose openness, the more natural it becomes, until you look back and realize that this openness is no longer something you are practicing. It has become who you are and the way you live. And in that way of living, there is freedom. Not the fragile kind that depends on circumstances or outcomes, which can never be real freedom, as it is really the same old trap of cause and effect, no matter how it looks on the surface. Instead, it is the unshakable freedom that comes from no longer needing life to be anything other than what it is, and meeting every moment with a heart that stays open. Finally, it can be a good thing to learn about this from different teachers, as all have their particular contributions and ways of framing the teachings. Therefore, you are encouraged to look into the videos about the teachings of David Hawkins, Osho, and Eckhart Tolle that are available on the end screen right now. All of them will, in their own way, help you understand this very real, higher, open state that is described in this video. You've now reached the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and check out the description and comment section to see other things that we do. Thank you for your time.